Hey guys, welcome to another video for anatomy and physiology. In this video we're looking at skeletal terminology. So we're looking at the prefixes and suffixes, the root the root of the anatomical terms that we're going to be using in this chapter. Do keep in mind that you need to keep up with the previous chapter as well, the tissue terminology as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and move forward. So anytime you see the prefix acetable, that's the ancient word for a vinegar cup. So it's like a depression cup. That'll be used in the depression of the hip bone, the acetabellum. You see there, that's where the femur goes in, the ball and socket joint. Okay, so acetable. And then you have ax, they're referring to the axis of something. So if you see the prefix ax, that's referring to, we're drawing a line down the middle of that particular object, and then you can turn it on its axis. Think of the earth turning on its axis, or the axial skeleton in our case. So the axial skeleton is a skeleton that is essentially down the middle of the body. We have blast. Now this one you should be familiar with already from the previous chapter. That means to bud, to grow something. So this is referring to a cell that is forming new tissue. So if it's an osteoblast, that means it's forming bone tissue, or a chondroblast. And then we have carp. That's referring to anything in the wrist. So your metacarpals, wrist bones. Clast. So that's the opposite of a blast. Clast is breaking something. Okay, so that means to break something down, like an osteoclast that breaks down bone, that takes calcium away from bone. Condyl, that is referring to a knob, a rounded bony process, like an epicondyl. And let's take a look at that actually. So here I have the shin bone. This is your tibia. Okay, so this is your shin bone right here. And we're looking at the condyl. So this is the medial condyl. Okay, this part right here. Let me zoom in on it a little bit more. So this is the medial condyl. This is the inside of your just inferior to your kneecap, to your patella bone. That's your medial condyle, and then this one is your lateral condyle. Okay, so this is on the outside of the tibia. Okay, and now another term that you're going to see in a minute is going to be crest. Okay, so this is the anterior border of the tibia. This is the tibial crest. So just to kind of drive the point home for the condyles, we're looking at the femur. This is the anterior view of the femur. So let me zoom in a little bit here. So there's the shaft of the femur, and bring it up. Okay, so this is the inferior portion of the femur. So this is where the kneecap goes. This is the patellar surface where your patellar bone goes. And so we're looking at the femur again, and we're looking at condyles. So as you look at the femur, let me zoom out. Can I zoom out? Okay. As you look at the femur, you'll notice that it kind of starts to bulge out over here as it gets closer to the knee. These are the processes that we're talking about. These are the condyles. So this one right here, the red one, this is called the lateral condyle. And then as I zoom in here, I'm going to highlight that piece right there, that blue piece. That's the epicondyle. Remember that prefix epi from the previous chapter? Epi meaning the furthest out, or above, the furthest out something that is. So in terms of features, you have your condyle, and then you have the furthest process, the epicondyle. And then we're looking at the inside of the leg here. This is the medial condyle. Medial meaning that it's closer to the middle. And then we have the process that sticks out even further, just a bit more. That's the medial epicondyle. So again, this is your condyle. This is the knobs that are a bony process. So that when you see the word process, that means that's a protrusion that's coming out of the bone. And then crib. Crib is a sieve. This is the portion of the ethmoid bone with many small openings. So when you look inside of the skull, this is essentially the superior, the roof of the nose. And this is where your olfactory nerves, your nerve endings come out, and this is the part of the nervous system that helps in smelling. And then we have crist, like I just showed you, crist, or this is a crest. So this is a bony ridge that projects upward. So here's again our tibial bone, and this is the tibial crest right here, that yellow part. I'm highlighting it right there. So it's protruding upwards. Think like a crest, a mountain range, if you will. And fove, anytime you see fovea, okay, that's Fovea capitis. That's referring to a pit, okay? And then Glen, this is a joint socket like the glenoid cavity in the shoulder. And Gorac. Gorac is a crow's beak. This is referring to the coracoid process. This is again a process that has a specific shape. So a beak-like process. And you'll find that in the scapula. All right, so I'm looking at the scapula right here. And I'm going to turn this around so we can get an anterior view. Okay, actually there's a scapula. Let's turn this guy around. And there you have right here the coracoid process right there. And as you can see there, it's a protrusion in the scapula, and you have ligaments. Okay, so there it is right there, this part right there. Let's zoom in over there. There's a coracoid process right there. Okay, so it's like a crow's beak. Coracoid. And then inter, which is between or among, like your intervertebral discs. So in between something, anytime you see that prefix. And intra means to be inside of something, like an intramembranous bone. So inter, in between, intra, inside. And then you have meat, which means a passage, like external acoustic meatus. So this is a passage into something else. And then you have odont, think orthodontist, referring to tooth. Poie, hematopoiesis. This refers to the genesis of something, the making or the producing of something. Hematopoiesis is referring to the generation of blood cells. And then we're approaching the end here. We have crani, which means helmet. So like cranium. So this is a helmet that protects your brain, the cranium. And then you have supra, which means above. And anytime you have something below something else, that's infra. So when you see the word supra, suprascapular, infrascapular, that means above or below something else. So again, here's our coracoid process that we were talking about earlier. Now if I turn this around, so you have your supraspinous fossa. So fossa, again, is referring to an indention. And then you have one, so this part right here is this feature of the scapula. This is called the spine of the scapula. This is above it, this is supraspinous fossa. And then this is below, this is infraspinous fossa. Okay, so something's located above, it's supra, or below, it's infra. Okay, well that does it for the skeletal terminology. Thanks for watching and good luck in your study.